I always find myself thinking about late writer, producer, and director Bob Clark this time of year. Clark was such an underrated and versatile filmmaker, responsible for directing two holiday classics on complete opposite ends of the genre spectrum in Black Christmas and A Christmas Story. Both I watch every holiday season. Aside from A Christmas Story, Clark is probably best known for directing Porky's, a movie that pretty much created the teen sex comedy and ranked in the top 5 highest-grossing films of 1982. But it's Clark's work in the horror genre that's criminally underrated. Everyone knows Black Christmas, or at least I hope everyone knows Black Christmas. Hell, it's a movie that's been remade twice, after all. First in 2006 and then again in 2019, although I like to pretend that the 2019 one didn't happen. But nobody talks about Death Dream, aka Dead of Night, and they should, because it's awesome. Murder by Decree is the best Jack the Ripper movie, period. Clark produced Deranged, a movie inspired by the exploits of Ed Gein, which is also pretty good. And Popcorn from 1991, although his name does not appear in the credits. However, it all started with Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. While it's a little rough around the edges, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things hinted at the promise that Clark would later deliver on. The movie focuses on a theater troupe who venture to an abandoned island in order to exhume a corpse for the purposes of performing a satanic ritual that will raise the dead. Why would they want to do this? Actors, man. And in a shocking, completely unexpected turn of events, it actually works. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. The first 2/3 of the film feel more like a black comedy than a horror movie. It's also the kind of movie that cuts a lot of corners, the biggest being the motivation behind the whole digging up a corpse in order to perform a satanic ritual that will raise the dead thing. I don't know about you, but none of that sounds like a good idea to me. Are they rehearsing for a horror production? Are they wanting to pin a deal with the Prince of Darkness in order to further their careers? Are they all just bored on a Friday night and have literally nothing else to do? Everyone is just way too okay with digging up a corpse and then being in very close proximity to said corpse throughout the rest of the movie. By the way, the corpse's name is Orville. And come to think of it, Orville is my favorite character in the whole movie. I know what you're thinking. Why don't they just leave? Well, they try, but then the group's leader, played by co-writer Alan Ormsby, reminds them that if they do leave the island, they'll lose their roles in his next play, and they immediately back right down. One character, in fact, practically begs him not to recast her. Those must have been some juicy roles. Ormsby chews the scenery here like a zombie chewing on a fresh kidney. He goes from being an egomaniacal narcissist to an out-and-out sociopath. And possibly a necrophile. But he's got a kind face. The kind of face you want to beat into a bloody pulp. Once the ritual seemingly doesn't go as planned, Ormsby demands that the group perform another, even more terrifying and archaic ritual involving him and Orville. Marriage. Clark and Ormsby do a good job of giving each character just enough to make them unique. You get a sense of who each character is, from the wannabe leading man to the emo hippie girl who would have made a great addition to the Manson family. There's Clark's distinctive sense of humor running throughout, and the atmosphere is a big plus. The movie is bathed in shadow and fog, creating a nicely nightmarish aesthetic. It's not until the third act that the dead actually rise, and then the movie borrows quite liberally from Night of the Living Dead thereon. Clark and Ormsby zombies are a bit more clever than your typical members of The Walking Dead and seem to have their own unique sense of humor. There's a great scene where one character uses another character as a human shield and seems to offer that character to the zombies at one point in order to buy them some more time. And the zombies all stop for a moment and look at the guy as if to say, "Really, bro?" Aside from co-writing the script and starring in the movie, Ormsby also did the zombie makeup effects. The zombie makeups aren't bad. Some look better than others, but all things such as time and budget considered, they're not bad at all. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things has a certain spirit that has always drawn me into it. Clark went on to do bigger and better things, but this is where it all started, and despite it being his first horror film with very limited means, it still feels very much like a Bob Clark film. I recommend it. And I recommend this new 4K UHD release from VCI, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the film. The back of the release doesn't note what kind of 4K restoration it is, or whether it's being sourced from a negative, an interpositive, or what. If you've seen the film on any other format, I'm sure you'd agree that it looked rough. It's dark, sometimes too dark. Whatever the source material for this 4K was, it's certainly an upgrade in terms of overall quality from any other release I've seen. The quality does fluctuate. At best, the detail and colors are sharp and the skin tones looked natural. At worst, the image can look muddy and kind of dull. You can tell that an effort was put into lightening things up, particularly during the exteriors. However, dialing up the brightness did not also dial up the grain or wash the image out. I don't recall seeing any damage present at all, and the grain level appeared natural and wasn't overwhelming even during some of the darker scenes. As for audio, this release features a PCM 2.0 mono track, which sounded clean and clear. I'd give both the picture quality and the sound quality on this release a solid 4 out of 5. This is a 3-disc release. We have the 4K UHD disc, a Blu-ray disc, and an additional Blu-ray disc with bonus features. We get a slipcase, the sleeve is reversible, and we get liner notes on the film provided by Patrick McCabe. As far as extras are concerned, first up we have Dreaming of Death, Bob Clark's horror films. It's 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 50 seconds in length. It includes interviews with Chris Alexander, Simon Fitzjohn, Paul Zaza, Richard Backus, Lynn Griffin, Ken Gotch, and Art Hindle. They discuss Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Death Dream, Deranged, Black Christmas, and Murder by Decree. In other words, all the horror films that Bob Clark either directed or produced. Next, we have a 2022 interview with Alan Ormsby. It's 33 minutes and 32 seconds in length. Mr. Ormsby discusses the difficulties of shooting the film in the Florida heat and humidity. He discusses the sequel that he developed with Bob Clark. He discusses first meeting Bob Clark in college and becoming fast friends. He discusses the birth of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, writing Death Dream, and directing Deranged. Co-directing Deranged, that is. He discusses the issues that led to him leaving Popcorn and that ultimately soured his friendship with Bob Clark. He answers a number of questions submitted by fans, and more. Next, we have Confessions of a Gravedigger, an interview with Ken Gotch. It's 9 minutes and 8 seconds in length. Mr. Gotch discusses first meeting Bob Clark and his duties on the film as part of the art department, including digging graves, carrying after the grip truck, and having to eat a joint in order to hastily dispose of it after being pulled over in the grip truck early one morning. He discusses becoming Clark's first AD for most of his films, being his friend for over 40 years, and more. Next, we have the Grindhouse Q&A, in which, in between showings of Death Dream and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, a group of special guests, including Alan Ormsby, Ken Gotch, Carl Zitterer, and Albert Fisher, discuss working with Bob Clark. It's 11 minutes and 27 seconds in length. Next, we have Memories of Bob Clark, a tribute to the late director with Jane Daly, Anya Ormsby, and Alan Ormsby. It's 10 minutes and 8 seconds in length. We get a photo gallery, 2 music videos from the band The Dead Things, one for Dead Girls Don't Say No, lovely title, and Cemetery Mary. We get a tribute video, radio spots, the original theatrical trailer, and an audio commentary with Alan Ormsby, Jane Daly, and Anya Ormsby, moderated by David Gregory from 2007. This is a fantastic 4K UHD release for Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, celebrating its 50th anniversary from the fine folks over at VCI. If you're a fan of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, then this release needs to be in your collection. If you've seen Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, please let me know your thoughts on the film down in the comments section below. And while you're down there, let me know what your favorite Bob Clark film is. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. And don't play with dead things. Thank you to all my patrons and channel members. I appreciate your generosity and support of my channel. Become a patron today and have a say in what content appears on my channel. Join me for monthly live streams and much more. Become a channel member today and get access to exclusive badges and emotes to use when I stream. Both those links are in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.